Hi guys, this is Lisa back with another video from May's design team, and for the month of December we are going to be concentrating on lots of layers on our projects. So to get started, this is one of the main components I'm going to be using is this May stamp set called Christmas Insta Wreath. So I'm going to be using these three pieces to build a wreath. And I thought I might use some of this stamp set. I haven't used it before. It's in the mail to kind of gussy up our envelope, so to speak. And speaking of envelopes, I have been wanting to try to take a regulation size, I guess, business envelope and make a card out of it. I think that will be fun to make a long, skinny card. So that's my plan to do today with these layers. And let's get a measurement on this. It's a 4 1/4 by 9 1/2 envelope. Okay, so I've already kind of got some pieces cut out here. I think I'm going to use for this long envelope. I cut this green down to 3 3/4 by 9. It's actually 7 1/2 folded to 4 3/4 by 9. And then I made a mat for it in white, this little speckledy paper I had in my stash, 3 1/2 by 8 3/4. So since it's all about layering, I thought, well, I definitely need a base layer here. And I really like the looks of a tag or a ribbon edge, so I decided to cut my own out of some coordinating green cardstock. This is 2 3/4 by 7 3/4, and then the mat is 2 1/2 by 7 1/2. And I used the same paper, but I just ran this through my die cut machine with an embossing folder and made this really, really pretty embossing on the front to kind of give that some more dimension. So this is going to go basically like this. Okay. Let's zoom out just a little bit here and get a little more, there we go, in the frame. So I wanted to use this really beautiful stamp set, like I was saying, Insta Wreath, and it makes it so easy to make a wreath. I took a dark green and a lighter green stamp pad, and so I stamped this one, some glare here, this one in the darker green, and this one in a lighter green over it, and then this like little pine cones with, of course, a brown, and this one's kind of a grayish brown. You can see that, and it turns out really cute. And just cut it out with the circle. And let's see, my circle is 2 1/2. And then I cut out another coordinating piece. It's got a little decal edge on my circle that I know that I'm going to want to have a mat behind there. And I had a lot of these bows left over from Made It Con. And the way I made them is I have a little die that makes different bows, different sizes. And I know a lot of you can make this out of on your Cricut, or if you do have a die similar to this, or you can make it the way May shows you to make it on her channel, or you can even use ribbon. But I already had a lot of these already cut, so I thought that would be perfect. So my idea is to kind of layer all these up and put them in an envelope. But when I started looking at it at first, I really like the look of anchoring this more. So I cut a couple of strips out of this scraps of the green, 3 1/4 by 3 1/2, and then 1 by 3 1/2. So the reason why, if you see the way it looks now, if I layer these on top and kind of put this underneath, this is now going to kind of anchor, if that makes sense, where this wreath is going to go. So I really like that look. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue all this in place, but since I have more layers underneath here, I don't want it to have like a seesaw effect where one side's up and it's up in the middle, down on this end. So I am going to put, I think, a little bit of foam tape behind this, and it's going to be a simple but a really pretty card. Oh, and by the way, on all my pieces I went ahead and distressed the edges, and I love to use Tim Holtz Distress ink And on this particular one, let's see, I used this tea dye on that. Of course, we have to have a sentiment, so I'm going to make sure that I get this in the right spot to leave some room for a sentiment. And I think I need to bring some more red in here, since this is the only red I have. I have lots of green and then just that little pop of brown. So I'm going to use the same sentiment out of the same stamp set that says Merry Christmas here. You can see that with the glare. So this is just my scrap paper just to kind of see where I want it to wind up. I'm actually going to stamp it on my project. So this is kind of the way I think I want to lay it out. And then, as I was saying earlier about using this envelope, we don't want someone thinking this is a bill or something. We want it to be Happy Mail. So there again, I think at the end I'm going to use one of these and stamp that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and get everything glued down, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that we've got the majority of this glued into place, I did put some foam tape behind here and at the bottom to kind of level this out because I have this pieces underneath here. Then we will go ahead and finish this up. I want to put my wreath here with my layers, but I think first I'm going to go ahead and get this stamped. So I'm just taking a bright red ink I had on hand in my stash, and I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas. Just line this up at the bottom. I left myself plenty of room. Just go straight down, give it a minute to transfer, straight back up. That always seems to do the trick. And then I have the red out. I think I'm going to do the same thing on the envelope so that they know they're getting some Happy Mail. Yep, just going to make sure that my orientation's correct. Put Christmas here. I think I'm going to do that instead of the It's in the Mail with the snail mail on it. I like that. Okay. And let's see what else. Let's finish up our layering. So you could do even more layers if you wanted to. You could put this on foam tape. But I think especially with my bow, I don't want to do any more layering because I do want it to go through the mail. And I know that bow is bound to get a little bit crumpled in the mail, but I am okay with that. I think it's still going to look pretty when they get it, and it's going to add that pop of color that we need. So I think this project is really a simple one that once you figure out your measurements and get exactly the elements that you like nailed down, then you could absolutely duplicate this for your Christmas cards. We go. Kind of tilt this a little bit so that you can see this embossed and how big a difference that makes. So I hope you've enjoyed this card, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video about layers for the month of December. Thanks, guys.